What's better than this? Guys being dudes.
This podcast contains language and themes of an adult nature and is intended for a mature audience. Hello and welcome to the Three Busted Barstools podcast. You are joined by myself, the Sasquatch, Beric Dundarian, and the coach. Unfortunately, the doctor can't be with us, it appears. The doctor has an ailment. There's a certain irony to that. How are we, gents? We all good?
Good. I'd like to, before we kick off, I was looking at our kind of where our listeners are from and where they gauge in, where they tune in from. Just a big welcome, hello, and thank you if you're sitting by the Sydney Opera House having lunch outside, or in the back of a taxi in, Kusadasi, or by the Trevi Fountain. Hello. And thank you for listening.
You are the worst thing to ever happen to this podcast, and I stand by that. I'd like to apologise.
I just wanted to say that,
You just fucking blow in.
I know we're being heard all over the world, all over the globe. So yeah, thanks for tuning in.
I'd like to see those figures.
Yeah,
if you could send them on.
Well, of course.
I think it's about, from what I hear, it's about the same amount of figures that are going to tune into Ireland against Germany in the women's football match. So, the association football.
I'd say it's significantly more. Do you not know?
It's okay.
Anyway,
it's okay to make an emotional call.
Moving on.
It's okay to make an emotional call, but I think you should retract and say I've made an emotional call there. Do you want to...
Okay, look, a couple of weeks ago I spoke about Ireland and the Ireland women's national team and Ukraine. Obviously the next game they're going to play is Germany, which is a must-win. I made a statement which I stick behind the thought and the love that was behind it, but my numerical figures put on it may have been askew. So I still stand by all the best. I hope and think there will be a big crowd tuning in. Hopefully RT have the rights to the game, and we'll move on.
Yeah. Look, we'd echo those sentiments.
Very political.
Echo those sentiments.
Political answer that. Well done.
Yeah.
Politically correct.
You'd be a good politician. Maybe not.
A real shitbag, wouldn't he?
Yeah.
A real shitbag.
Yeah. Wouldn't even be climbing the ladder. He'd still be taking backhanders.
Taking them now.
Yeah, geez, an awful lot happened this weekend again.
Do you reckon the doc is sick because it just went down
to a penalty?
To a penalty.
To be fair, he texted about
bit of irony in it, like.
Yeah. Highly plausible. I think also the Dublin losing to Kilkenny in Ireland might have impacted that. I know he's a huge Dublin hurling fan.
Some comeback they went for.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, but it wasn't to be. Unfortunately, the class of Kilkenny shining through.
Just mention his supporting of Manchester United. If you're any Manchester United, you've got to be a little bit worried now. Whatever about Ole's results in the Champions League, you're in the bottom half of the table. I know I mentioned about finishing top 10, and now, excuse me, they've got another 2 weeks faced in the bottom 10 at a minimum. So I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Surely, as a Liverpool fan, you can understand doing well in the Champions League and absolutely stink in the fucking Premier League.
I don't think we've ever stunk that low though.
I think Gerard Julio failed a heart attack once to alleviate the pressure.
Yeah.
Put Phil Thompson in charge.
He's finished 7th or 8th, which is not cool as well.
Yeah, we're still top 10.
Yeah,
still top 10.
Yeah, but United, they're going to finish top 10. Don't
come back to me when they actually break into the top 10 and we'll have a chat.
Anyway,
King hate Liverpool fans. Do you know that? Oh yeah.
One title and they're already trying to change the landscape of the sport.
Yeah. It's unbelievable, isn't it?
We've quite a few fan questions we might fly through quickly. They do all.
You do them first, so we'll read them second.
We'll do them first,
What's
I
that?
think. Just without the doctor soon, we just use them to fill up his spot.
Replace him, you might say.
And no, temporary substitution.
No, it sounds like he's been replaced. So.
He's just gone for a HIA.
Yeah, she's on a HIA. So we get to the first one. This is going to.
The contract negotiations of this fucking podcast are very tough lately.
Yeah, Jesus, yeah.
There's a couple of lads playing seriously hard ball.
Who's gonna sign my contract? No one. Anyway,
Evening lads, Bad Brendo back here. I have a question for the group. As we're now in November, approaching at the end of the year, I'd like to know who is everyone's Irish sports person of the year and why.
I hope he hasn't given himself that nickname.
No, Brendo.
A bad
Brendo.
Brendo. I think.
Oh, bad
Yeah,
Brendo.
I think that's a nickname that has to be earned.
Yeah.
It's a tough question to answer, given
No, it's not.
He's particularly the year we've had.
yeah, no Olympics. We've no All Ireland champion in either sport. I'd say if you asked in 2 weeks, it would be probably a unanimous Katie Taylor.
No, it's already Katie.
Well, it's
Taylor.
one fight this year she's had.
No, it's Katie Taylor every year.
That's fair. Yeah.
Like, there's no one near her, like, at her level.
Yeah. Look,
It's facts, man. It's facts.
I know. I
like,
just think volume of work. It's the timing of the question.
Yeah, and if anyone turns around to me and gives me some fucking gay bag hurler from the back arse at Tibradon, I kick up.
Of course, you
Oh,
would.
Seamus Callinan's such a good hurler. Yeah, but he's a muppet and he goes to fucking teach kids on a Monday. Katie Taylor's out there fucking smashing bitches out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you think around, like, what do we actually have this year that
Yeah.
that we've had Irish stars, never mind superstars in. We had a poor Six Nations, so
Rule them out.
football, we've had nothing come from
In the
football.
last decade.
Gregor won a fight in January. Just saying.
Yeah.
Throwing it out there also.
But how many times has Katie fought 2020 professionally too? She won in the back garden.
She's only had one fight this year. She's next
Only
fight
had
is
one
what,
fight
2
this
weeks?
year. 2 weeks,
Yeah, well then her stock is high then, She's probably
always
the
high,
Irish superstar with the highest stock.
Always pretty high. Never drops.
Yeah.
Never bloody drops.
I think that's. Yeah, I think the three of us are going for Katie then.
Yeah,
It's always Katie. I like, you know that meme where it's some fella sitting there with a fucking cup of tea and it's like whatever the statement is, and then it's like, what's it, prove me wrong, or
the fella
Tell
at the
me
stand.
different.
Yeah.
Doubt me
What?
now or something.
no, what is it?
Change my
Some
mind.
fucking- Change my mind. Yeah, Katie Taylor's the greatest sports person in Irish history ever, and always will be.
Yeah, I suppose our
Change my mind.
our point is just saying it's a year where you probably can't even have an argument. Like,
No argument any other year.
there's an argument. I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but it's still an argument.
Bad argument.
Like if you come back and in the first week of December and ask the same question after we've played this new Rugby Autumn Nations tournament, when we've had a couple more internationals, and Katie, please God, she doesn't, touch wood, she doesn't, but if she lost the next fight, you probably have to be looking at, is there someone that has stepped up for the year of 2020? There's no doubt saying Katie's the best of the last fight, or even the decade, but on the year, there might be questions in December.
I wouldn't say so, Nick. No.
I wouldn't think so either, but look, we might revisit that in December.
Move on to the next
I have to
question.
disagree with you there, but look, that's okay. That's what this thing is for. It's an open discussion.
I'm worried now.
Yeah,
Don't be.
I know. I think she.
Don't be
I
worried at
don't
all.
want to jinx her or anything like that, but I think she's going to be fine. I have no doubt she'll be fine. But yeah, look, I mean, we could have been.
Do I have to? Do I have to go through the list of achievements? Do I have to do
No,
this
we
again?
don't.
on this
We're in
podcast? 'Cause I will.
we're in agreement. You're missing our point here. I'm just
I'm not
saying
missing the point.
we could
No,
have been
don't fucking talk.
we could have been here, and it could have been we could have been discussing someone who's had a tremendous achievement in the Olympics that haven't gone ahead.
Because we always do so well in the Olympics.
Well, you don't know what the O'Donovan brothers could have produced this year in the rowing.
Rowan, come on.
Kelly Harrington in the boxing.
Yeah, we could have had another
It's only-
amateur gold medal in boxing as well. Like, I'm just saying, it's the year that's in it. we kind of been robbed of maybe celebrating our Irish sports stars. Valid point.
Yes.
He's getting sick there in a bucket.
Yeah, Berwick's not having any of it.
Well, like we're not here saying Katie Taylor's not.
Oh, no. It's fine. Just keep going.
Katie Taylor's getting a segment on this show, I think.
She has done since Series 1, and she will continue to
We just have
until the day this season.
we just have a disagreement with our management. That's all. But we'll not go there. We'll go on to the next question.
I was just about to say, you brought that up. But
I think I always bring it up. To be fair.
you do, yeah. Just it's a little big, isn't it? Like,
Anyway, next fan question.
Hi lads, it's John here from Dartry. Really enjoying the podcast lately, and I just have a quick question for the coach regarding Mick McCarthy and his treatment of Declan Rice, and basically whether or not he thinks he should be put up in front of a grand jury for not bringing on Declan in that match and capping him, thereby making him tied into Ireland football.
jeez, John, cheer up. It's all right.
Yeah.
Fucking
upset
hell.
me.
What happened?
John from Dartry. I'm just going to say, I've never heard of a person. I don't know if either of you boys have been to Dartry, but I've never heard of a person native to Dartry that goes to an international football association game.
Never
I'm
darkened
shocked.
I
it.
have no idea what Dartry is
Itself.
as a concept.
But,
Oh, it's a place in a Dublin 4, Dublin 6 suburb, kind of squashed between Rathmines, Rathgar and Terranure.
So high mortgages
So
and
it's
loads of credit
Yeah,
card debt.
Depression by the fucking sound of things. Johnny Boy needs to cheer up. If he wants to ring in next week, we'll
Yeah.
fucking sit down with him.
That,
Like,
that PUP not covering the credit card debt, John, is it?
Yeah,
Jeez.
Jesus.
Anyway,
Your
I actually think
Volkswagen
Berwick-
Sirocco on fucking higher purchases and fucking bailing you out of that. Anyway, is it? God bless him.
I think actually Berwick should have a stab at this question before I do, when I muster.
There's a couple of things on this podcast that I don't really like discussing. Jack Grealish is one. Declan Rice is another. So, actually, no, you do this because I'll get too emotionally invested, and I have to talk here for another 40 minutes after this. So I'm not. I'm not going to go down that road. You know,
I think
just
It's a funny
on the
one.
fucking pitch. Do you know what I mean? Like it takes 10 fucking seconds. Like he doesn't have to touch the ball. Do you know what I mean? 94th minute, just bring him on. Like who fucking cares? Like,
It's-
England are taking this approach now of where they're just fucking. Oh, what age you? 14? Go on. Out you get. Go out there and fucking just stand there. Just wear a jersey. What's the worst thing that can happen? Do you know what I'm saying?
See,
Like,
you-
if
I have
we
a different look at this than you do because
what do you mean you have a different look? If we what's the worst thing that could happen?
did he want to play for
Shut
Ireland?
up
Do you
laughing
want
for a
someone playing that doesn't want to play for Ireland?
We have a fucking load of people who don't want to play for Ireland. I wouldn't want to play for Ireland. We're fucking stinking. And what's the worst thing that could have happened, right? He could have came on, right? And let's say worst case scenario, he's actually not a good footballer. Okay, that's fine, right? So he's capped to Ireland that he's not a very good footballer. Like the fucking other, however many players we have that can't kick a ball. Do you know what I mean? Like him and Grealish. I don't know. Now I brought both of them up, right? And it's upset me. Now I'm bothered, right? But I'm just saying, bring them on and let them fucking play. Who you don't want to play for Ireland, do you not? That's cool. We were good enough for you when you were fucking 21 and you were rocking around there like fucking prick. Underage. He should have brought him on. Okay? Thanks.
So yeah, look, I don't like. I know we've had them over the years, but I think with Stephen being in the seat now, we don't want players that. And I know the question is of Mick, but we don't want players that don't want to play for the country. We've got players in the country that give them opportunities. And now, had we have given them the cap and now the rules changed that you can play 3 senior internationals, he still could have moved back to England.
I think though it's something where we lack the killing edge of doing, like not the killing edge, whatever. But you look at when they discussed this was going to AGM that players can renege on their international straight away. Jack Grealish, oh geez, you had a great season. Yeah, come on, we'll get you into the English squad. Other FAs have a killer instinct with it. They don't care if you're never going to play. We'll cap you so you can't play for someone else.
Yeah, and what you're saying is right. Like, is Rice gonna play for England at the next Euros or World Cup? Probably not. You look at the likes of Henderson ahead of him. Even Grealish is probably ahead of him at this stage. You know?
Different players, really, aren't they? Though? Like,
Yeah, but
Rice
you don't
plays.
fit
Rice,
three in.
Rice kind of plays that holding. Or he can play centre half as well. Like
Is he good enough to play for England? To start for England? I can't believe we're having
Well,
a conversation about a player.
I
being good
know
enough
it's
to play for
absolutely
England.
devastating.
Oh my god.
I know why John was.
Is he
depressed.
good enough to play? Look, is he?
Yeah.
Would he
John
be in
had
your
a
top,
lot in his mind, but he sounds things.
would he be in your top 3 players in the midfield for Ireland?
Yeah,
Yeah, he would. Yeah.
he'd be our best player. Nick. Like when you think about it, he'd genuinely be our best player.
Yeah.
And you know what the worst thing is beside that? Then, if we had to say Cap Grealish as well, they'd be
So
our
do you
two
think we're
best
doing
players.
right now by playing Malumbi? Because I know Malumbi can't move, so it's a bad example. But like, you're basically what you're saying is, if you're good enough, you're old enough. If there's someone there that's 18 playing for the 21s, just put them in the senior team. and give them a cap.
I think so. Because
3 caps now is meant to be, isn't it?
well, 3 caps, yeah. But like that. Sorry, I was actually going to go back to what you said there. It's like with what's it? The new rule is if you have, you can,
An egg.
you have to have. If you don't have 3, is it?
Yeah.
Something like that.
So
Yeah.
say he had have played him that night, whatever. Like he'd 100%, like 100% have played 2 more games after that.
Easily, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because that's when he started breaking into the West Ham team. He was. Now, having said that, he's not. He's kind of plateaued a little bit, Rice. But at the same time, like his plateau is.
It's
No,
better than Conor Howard
it's
has
considerably
that
better than our international level standard. Like, do you know what I mean?
And-
And another thing with him as well, I think he'd free up. Like, say if you were playing, if he did play, we'd be able to get rid of Glenn Whelan from centre mid, which would be fucking delightful. And it would free up Jeff
Yeah.
to go forward a little bit more.
Go
'cause
play
if
his
you
role.
notice,
Yeah.
Go play
yeah,
that for the role.
like it's one thing I'll never understand the Ireland setup, that like Jeff was playing week in, week out for Burnley, like scoring goals and he's mainstay in the team really. When he, like, every week he's kind of one of the first names on the team sheet, like, and then Newcastle as well came in, bottom, starts for Newcastle and everything. Yeah, he plays for Ireland and he's just not there, like, do you know what I mean? He's just limited, like,
The man-
it's 'cause he's fucking playing different roles.
the man has
do you know what I mean?
inquiries from AC Milan, and you're going to play him out of position. Like it's bizarre.
I think so. We're in agreement that Rice probably should have been capped. But what would we have been saying now had he been capped? I wonder. I know we're never going to find out, but it'd be interesting to know. Would stuff have come out being, I wanted to play for England, I wasn't good enough for England, or like the things we forget is agents and managers and club owners have a lot of say in players like that, because Rice is now worth 40 million. Whether he's playing for Ireland, he's probably worth about 18.
That's not in my pocket, like.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's not out of your pocket either. Like, Tony Cascarino fucking didn't want to play for Ireland really either, did he?
That's
Like,
because he
no.
has no affiliation to Ireland
Exactly.
whatsoever.
Exactly. Just let him play.
Yeah,
like,
let's just make up
do
a
you know what I
granny
mean?
from Mum.
Yeah. So why don't we, like?
Yeah.
We need to get more in on this. Like, I know we're very partial to an old secret granny. Like, but are you telling me? Like, here's another example. Right? Are you telling me that, like, remember Stephen Ireland didn't want to play for Ireland for what? Like, if he had turned around and went, I want to play now, that we would go, no, there's that time he didn't want to play. Get the fuck. Like, we're like, you know what Irish fans are like for football. Like, we'll cheer lads in fucking the park kicking the ball around. Like, do you know what I mean? If there's somebody who can come in and, do you know what I
we
mean?
did
If
it with
there's-
Roy Keane, didn't we? We did it with Roy Keane.
Yeah.
Exactly. Roy Keane literally went, lads, this major tournament, I'm fucking off here. Like, I'm gone. Like, afterwards, you're like, yeah, but he might have been right, was he? Come back, Roy. Do you know what I mean?
And that divided a nation. Like, that literally divided a nation. And we spent the summer watching that poor fucking dog get marched up and down on our team on the 6-1. And we just said, alright, go on. You can coach us now as well, like.
One thing,
Thanks,
though,
John.
what's the common denominator there? Mick
The dog.
McCarthy, guys.
Ah.
Mick McCarthy.
Hopefully he gets on well. Applewell Nicosia. So
I don't think about him from one end of the day to the other, to be honest with you, unless it's this topic. So, you know.
We move on.
look, I think we're all resounding yeses.
Yeah,
Then we would have capped him.
Cap him. And it goes back to that thing you keep bringing up by James and Gibson Park. Cap him. He's 28. You get 4 years out of him. Cap him.
Look, I've more thoughts on Irish rugby, but they'll wait till either late in the show or next week.
Yeah. One
Maybe a week that I'm not
Thanks,
on.
John.
If it's
Thanks,
possible.
John.
one final question, and then we'll kick it into the coach for his good, bad, and the ugly.
Hey lads, Brendan here from Boher Nabrina, aka Bad Brendo. Big fan of the podcast.
This is the same fucking bloke.
I have a question here for the Sask Rugby League question. Come from a family of big fans of Rugby League. Used to go over to the Helens Wigan Derby on a regular basis for Good Friday. So Sask, I was wondering, who would be your top 3 Super League players of all time, and in what order? Thank you.
Now, Brennan.
Jesus, Brendo should have entered about 2 weeks ago. He would have won himself a 60 quid voucher.
He would have gone 120. I would have topped it up. No, to be fair to Bad Breno, as he titles himself, I'm actually not a huge Super League fan. I just think he's a far better standard in the NRL. But we're not going to not.
If you had to fucking listen to the podcast, he'd know that, but sure, look.
We're not going to not answer his question. So, Breno, my top 3 would probably be Garrett Ellis, Hull FC legend, Leslie Vainicolo, Bradford Bulls, because he changed. He was so exciting to watch. And then for number 1, it's very hard to look beyond Kevin Sinfield. Like, he's 7 Super League titles, over 500 appearances, incredible eyebrow as well. I'd have to go with Kevin Sinfield as my best player.
Sass, just out of interest, because I wouldn't know, but what type of income does a rugby league player? Because I remember being on holidays in Cava circa 2012, and was a shed load of rugby league players from Leeds, and drinking pints. And what type of income are they having instead of these, budget holidays?
I'll tell you something. I've done a piece later on salary caps, so save that for later on. It's a nice little segue. But yeah,
as Berwick stares at the wall.
We might have the tip off early today.
Change the order.
Just
change the order. I go first.
Okay.
Breno, thanks very much. Great questions.
No, it's always good to get questions in, and I hope we answer them for you.
And John, if you do need
help
to chat, mate, give us a buzz. We're always here.
One last thing, because no one's been sure from the question. If Brendan is a Wigan or a St Helens fan, in the event he is a Wigan fan, you've got yourself a fantastic player in John Bateman, leaving my side the Canberra Raiders. He's going to do exceptional for you this season. Moving on. I think it's time for our first Claxton.
Even Claxton. Oh, tremendous.
First Eric Claxton.
Look, I've got interesting ones for you tonight, fellas. I really do. So this week's Good, Bad and Ugly. The good story of the week, probably the doctor's probably missing out on this one. I think you would have enjoyed it. But the good story this week, this day, 1884, the GAA established themselves in Thurles. Michael Cusack, for those of you who are big GAA fans, will know that he kicked off the GAA. So I want to know from you boys on the panel tonight, what would you think Michael thinks of the GAA now?
I'd say he hates football because I've severely fallen out of love with football over the last number of years. I just think this whole possession-based game, it's like, I don't know, did any of you watch the Cavan Manning game on Saturday? It was actually a good game. Went to extra time. But I mean, you're looking at like 8 minutes of play without a score. Like, it's just... And they brought in this mark rule, which further strengthens a possession-based game. It's slowing down the pace and stuff. I generally think either, and I know it's robbing it from basketball, but either a shot clock or even once you leave your half, you can't go back in, because this whole run around passing, it's just puke. Like, hurling, you don't need to fix that with hurling. It's absolutely beautiful. Some games this weekend as well. Even like the Limerick tip game was just on. I think that weather, and Limerick scored 117 in the first half. That was fucking class.
It's the most coachy thing I've ever heard you say.
Yeah, look, I think I have to agree with you. Hurling is a beautiful sport. Football, I could take it or leave it, to be honest, at the moment. But the only thing I think that he might turn over in his grave at is just the black card, the yellow card, the red card, and all the changing of the rules, lads hanging out with each other. That didn't happen. Even 10 years ago, Ray Cosgrove's years, didn't happen. Lads were free scoring, hitting each other and running on. There was no hanging out with each other. Do you know? Like, it's just... Oh, it makes me
Yeah, I just think
Are you talking about just like the actual like? You're talking about just a match, like is in actual gameplay. But like, surely, but surely he'd be happy enough with the actual state of the GAA though.
Yeah.
And like how far.
Yeah, but
it's
I don't think
come
it was ever. That's another thing that bothered me.
Professional.
Fans come up to me, not my fans.
No, they
fans
don't.
of Dublin.
No one knows who you are.
Give out about.
No one knows who you are.
Like, you know, Dublin. I say Dublin are basically professional sports people.
I think he's gone.
Oh no.
I
think what he's gonna say, like, what the point is he was trying to get at there is about Dublin being professional, and that's back to what we were saying last week. They're not really professional when you have to go in and fucking teach 20 school kids on a Monday morning. You know what I mean? Like,
I do. I think they're as professional though as an amateur athlete can be, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I know what you're trying to say, but at the same time, if you're not professional, you're amateur.
Yeah, no, and I'm not.
Like
I'm not arguing that they're not. I'm just kind of saying, from Michael Cusack's point of view, I don't think he would have ever imagined that.
How far it's come.
Yeah,
but I think that would he'd enjoy that. That though, no?
Yeah, absolutely.
That would be something he'd be quite proud of, as opposed to
think that there's GA clubs all over the world. In the Middle East, in New York, like Australia, and
even I tell you one thing, he would probably be turning his grave at fucking London GA. You're bloody joking me. Be pulling out the balaclava.
yeah. Oh no, he would. Yeah, but yeah, like and then like just the fact of like it's in, and this is gonna. You're gonna get a laugh out of this, but the fact it's in every parish in the country, like a game, a sport could spread almost infectiously through society and stuff. It's huge. From like, I think he might be rejoining us.
Possibly, but like it's probably more of a Jesus, isn't it?
Sorry, lads, I clocked out there.
Yeah, Jesus.
Where did I lose you? I was talking about
dropping out in your own segment is fairly. I hope you kept that timer running as well. You're not getting extra time for that either.
I'm actually on 4 minutes. Shall I move on to the next topic?
Yeah, you better.
The good,
grand.
So the bad story this week, lads. The Arizona Coyotes had drafted Mitchell Miller, and you're gone again.
No, we're not.
Who's gone?
No one's gone.
You don't.
What is he at?
Oh yes. Okay.
Anyway,
Here, look,
so Mitchell Miller,
look,
I think it's
basically. What sport is that? Sorry.
Arizona Coyotes is
baseball. Is it?
To say ice hockey, I'm not 100% sure, but I think the story's going to get.
There's hardly ice hockey in Arizona, is there?
Which is the Tampa Bay Lightning are the NHL champions. There's not much ice hockey played in Florida. Do you know? I think whatever sport it is, I do. I think. Basically, the player that they had drafted, it had come out that he was involved in a bullying scandal in high school, and they've waived his rights. They don't want to sign him. I'd say he was probably going to bring up whether or not
he should have.
It should go back that far.
That should have happened. Well, I suppose that's your question, really, isn't it? Like,
yeah,
it's probably a good question as any. Jesus, that's a stress, man. What was the question?
Lads, or?
No, we're still rolling. We don't stop.
Yeah, was the question what Wi-Fi provider should I opt for?
Avoid for the rest of my life.
Everything else is perfect, so it's a bit odd. But anyway, sorry. The bad story was the Arizona Coyotes cut ties with their first round pick Mitchell Miller this week, 18 years of age, due to his bullying in high school. So what I want to know is, how far do we go back in someone's career or life that it affects their future?
That was actually a cracking shout. You said that. That was nearly word for word.
Where is the Coyotes? Are they NHL or are they
Arizona?
No, are they?
Oh, sorry, the hockey. Yeah,
hockey. Yeah.
So effectively, what Mitchell is accused of doing basically is bullying classmates at the age of 14, who were black classmates with learning difficulties. One in particular, who he's alleged to have got to drink from a urinal because he wanted to be his friend. And the classmate in question then had to go and be tested for a range of different,
That's excessive.
Yeah, it's poor taste.
I wouldn't want to be associated with anyone, regardless of age, that's involved in that behaviour, because that's disgusting. Like,
yeah, it's not good.
But I wasn't fully aware. I just kind of seen the headline and kind of one of the notifications from Bleacher Report, I think.
Yeah, so that's alleged what took place. So what I want to know is, how far do we go back? Because obviously you look at the draft every year for each American sport. It could go like there's so many students and young men and women that are picked by different franchises and organisations. Like, how far do you go back? And not even in that, but even in closer to home with rugby, with football, with things happen with different clubs. So what do you think?
I'm gonna try out one. Like, it's nearly not. It's probably not the best argument to that kind of thing. If it's something like that, like, yeah, clear him off. Like, you probably don't need that. I thought it was going to be something like kind of light, like he was slagging a few of the boys in school. Like, do you know what I mean? Yeah, like, so that took a dark turn out for me. But anyway, sorry. There used to be a bloke that played for Baylor University. I had said
Sean
it to
Oakman.
you before. Your man Sean Oakman. Yeah. He was a defensive lineman, but he was like, you'll see memes of him all over like the internet. Like, he is just a giant, like a freak of nature, but he was a serious footballer. And he ended up getting he was in Penn State first, and he was expelled for Penn State for taking a sandwich, like a roll, out of the canteen without paying, because he thought that's I don't know what the story was. Anyway, he was expelled for that. Got picked up by Baylor and was going. He was first round NFL, like probably one of the top 10 picks, depending on whatever team needed a fucking defensive lineman. And there was a rape scandal. I think a few of his mates were in. He ended up getting dragged into it, whatever. No one touched him in the draft, as you can imagine. Like you said, who fucking wants to be associated with that kind of thing? But it came out 5 years later that he didn't do it, and he was innocent.
It's also up in court.
No, it's out of court.
Is that the one that does Netflix?
That's Brian Banks. He's actually suing for defamation and loss of potential earnings. So it's going back into court. It's Brian Banks' thing on Netflix.
No, there was one on Netflix called something, Roll the Dice, or something like that, about 4 or 5 football players in either high school or college. It sounds quite similar, that there was a group and
let's be real. It's not. It's probably not the first time it's happened, and it's definitely not going to be the last time it happened. But
if you play for Ulster. But
poor
just on that really quickly, Mitchell at 17, so a year ago or maybe even 2 years ago, sent 31 apology letters to all the NHL sides in the US and Canada. Does that make any effect? Does that change what you're thinking right now? I suppose what does it change what you're thinking?
It's very easy to be a good human being when there's a lot of money on the line. The decision, or what he did at 14, you'd need to nearly have him psychologically evaluated. You'd need to see, is this a behavioural trait? Like, just because, like, I know we've all done stupid shit at 14, but I've never gone to that. That's kind of the stuff you see in a serial killer documentary that they did in school. And how did we not see the warning signs?
Yeah, but come here though, right? The other thing that I'll not to defend this bloke, because that's kind of turn me guts a bit now, that kind of stuff. Like, but you know the way it is in America. I know it's not the same because he was in high school. He said, where this happened. Yeah. But like, in colleges and all those fucking fraternities, like, they make people do horrendous things. And then after that, like hazing and like, fucking. I'm fairly sure when you're a freshman going on to college teams, there's horrendous things that you hear about. I'd say that is just never said. Just because this particular incident has come out, it's kind of a hard one to judge him on, but at the same time, it has come out, and like, you don't really hear about anyone else. Like riddle me this: would you give a fuck if not give a fuck. Give a fuck's probably the wrong word. Are you telling me that the first seed, whoever gets first draft pick next year, this comes out by Trevor Lawrence, that they're not going to take him?
Well,
Do you know what
yeah.
I'm saying? It's a like it's up in the air. Like when you think about it, right? You know, Trevor Lawrence made some fella drink out of a urinal when he was 14.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I just think that whole act is, jeez, it's fucking horrific if it's true. Like,
Yeah, it is horrendous. But like,
well, Trevor
say the
Lawrence
Eagles take
Trevor Lawrence is playing for Clemson again next year. He's not going to the Jets.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Look, it's a strange one. Like,
It's one of them though. Having said that, even if I did draft the fucker, he's one of those ones I'd be looking at him and I'd be going, here,
yeah.
won't we leave me fucking dog around you, mate? Wouldn't know what he'd be at.
Sorry, fellas. My time's actually up, but I do have a great last point. I don't know what you want to do.
I actually know what it is, and I'm not going to let you bring it up.
I want an opinion.
Yeah, we'll discuss it off air, but I'm not discussing that on the podcast.
So the ugly story of the week. Look, look. Put it this way.
Was that not the ugly story? That's horrendous. That was
Sask,
a really ugly
do
story.
you like competitive sports?
I do, yeah.
Beric?
Yeah.
Okay, so I think for the future of football world is better if Rangers win the league this year. Thoughts? 60 seconds. We got 60
It's
seconds.
probably your time up there, really, isn't it?
I think, to be honest with you, I don't know why the asphyxiation is on Rangers. Like, I think the Football League would be better if Aberdeen and Hearts had a chance at winning the league. The Football League would be better if Hibernian, if St Johnstone had a chance. I don't know what the asphyxiation is on having Rangers back. Like, they cheated, they paid the price. I know the quality of the SPL dropped when they got relegated, but you've got to query. There needs to be more done in Scotland to raise the standard of the other clubs.
Yeah, like Inverness, Caledonian, Thistle need to really be brought up, in my opinion.
St Johnstone home paint.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, look, I agree. I think the other teams, yeah, that is the thing. But so I suppose if you rephrase the point that it would be better if Celtic do not win the league this year. Like, Celtic are in big trouble. Lennon is in big trouble. If he doesn't, they're lucky they didn't have a game this weekend.
Would you not like to see Celtic win to get the record of 10 in a row?
I don't know if
Just
you can
to
punish
see
a team for being good, though. Like, this is the whole Dublin thing all over again. Like, you know,
But would you not like to
split
see
them.
someone? Would you not like to see someone win 10 SPLs in a row? Like, is that not an incredible achievement that you'll never see again in your lifetime, probably?
Until they win 20 in a row, of course.
Yeah, but that's how every other fan in the world, like, or in the league, will probably prefer not to see it.
Yeah, but everyone outside of Dublin didn't want to see Dublin 5 in a row. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's...
So does it make it more interesting to you and for everyone else?
No, that's factually not correct, because you're forgetting who Dublin beat for 5 in a row.
Yeah, whatever. Like, you know what I'm saying. The point is still the same. If it had been somebody else, then...
Yeah, because it might have been like a rags to rich story or like a feel good story, but no one wants to see
It's
Mayo
not,
win
it's,
10.
not, it's not the point I was making. You know what I'm saying?
Mayo are probably the least enjoyed county, I'd say, in Meath.
In Meath.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, the unofficial 5th province. Don't you forget.
Good old Republicans bringing it back together.
I just don't like teams being punished for being good. That's one thing. In every sport, it's just something that really irritates me. I hate people who have to, like, that's... Do you not think that's going back to, like, fucking giving kids medals for finishing last? Like,
Participation
do you
trophy.
know what I mean? Participation jobs, like hard enough. That's what I think. Having said that, I've gone completely off Scottish football anyway, so I don't give a fuck who wins it. Being brutally honest, like.
Yeah. There was a huge interest when the standard was almost comparable.
Some neck cutting across you.
Anyway, on that note, you've probably listened to the most edited half of the Three Busted Barstools, or the Busted Barstools now as we've rebranded. So we'll take a break and we'll return after a quick word from our sponsors. Hi everyone, it's the Sasquatch here from the Three Busted Barstools podcast. This episode and all episodes in season 2 are produced in partnership with the Square Ball. The Square Ball is located just off Marion Square. It has dozens of screens showing televised sport and award-winning barbecue, making it the perfect spot in Dublin to catch the game. For more information or to book in, please visit the-square-ball.com. Thanks. Hello and welcome back to the second half of season 2, episode 8 of the Busted Barstools podcast.
Is it episode 8?
Yeah, we're down into the final quarter, final third.
Suppose when you take fucking half a season hiatus, it does fly in, doesn't it?
Just back for this episode. Anyway.
Like I heard we were getting
Anyway, I suppose my segment is all about salary caps, and if they're beneficial in sport, I suppose where it's come from kind of logically for myself is we've kind of seen this kind of power grab move with this Project Big, this new pay-per-view option that Premier League has lobbied and it's launched, and it's not really a huge success. And then you also have this European Super League. So if you want to start the clock, I'll break it down. I'm going to go around the sporting...
Oh, yeah, absolutely, Sass. You fire it away. 3, 2, 1, off you go, mate.
Off we go. Okay, so I suppose one of the things that's always lobbied when you mention a salary cap is people always go, well, this is football, we're not American. Or it's too late. So I suppose the American thing I get because your NFL, your NBA, NHL, Major League Baseball, they all have salary caps, but they actually all kind of work differently. But I mean, Rugby Union, Rugby League will both operate on a salary cap structure. To kind of break it down a little bit, I actually ran the numbers and ran through your major leagues, your major sports that operate salary caps, and kind of find out which is the better paid, and it's quite interesting, put it that way. So I'll start off with the American ones because that's the ones people most associate. So your NFL, the salary cap is 170 million, and while it's not evenly distributed by any means, it's a 55 man roster, which makes it an average salary of 3.6 million per player per year. The NBA, it's worth bearing this in mind, operates a soft cap system similar to Major League Baseball, which means they do have a salary cap of 93.6 million. If you go over that, you enter into this thing called the luxury tax, where for every dollar you're over, they charge $1 to your payroll. There is obviously two exceptions. There's a few exceptions to that rule. Two of them would be the Derrick Rose rule. Any chance to get Derrick into the segment. So basically, if a player wins MVP or Defensive Player of the Year, or I think Sixth Man of the Year, in their rookie contract, you can go above the salary cap to tie him in to the franchise. And then the other one is the Larry Bird rule. So basically, if you have a superstar on your roster, you can break the salary cap to tie him in. But anyone else, if you go above the salary cap, you're charged a luxury tax. So basically, it's $1 on the dollar on your payroll, and in addition to actually paying the player. The Major League Baseball operates a similar tact, and that's quite an interesting one because they didn't have a salary cap until 2002. So it's interesting when you compare it for association football. The NBA is 93.6, 17 man roster. That's 5.5 million. Major League Baseball is 178 million, 28 man roster. So that's 6.3 million. And NHL is a 20 man roster at 69.9 million. So that works out at 3.4 million per player. So the NFL is statistically the worst paid American sport, believe it or not. Then I kind of started to have a look around at Rugby Union, and Rugby Union is actually very interesting because you've different salary caps per league, and this is, if you're looking at introducing a salary cap structure into association football, you have to be very careful because the Premiership, the salary cap was higher, say versus the Bundesliga, you'd kill it. You'd actually kill the Bundesliga because players get paid an awful lot more. English Premiership is 5.5 million. Super Rugby is 3.54 million. And the Pro 14 is where it gets really interesting, because Wales, Scotland and Ireland, the clubs in those different jurisdictions, all have separate salary caps. So in Scotland it's 4.64 million, in Wales it's 5.53 million, and in Ireland it's 7.29 million. And then obviously as well in France you have 11.05 million. So the best, that's why all the best players go to France. Having worked it out, a few interesting things. If you're a domestic player in New Zealand, chances are you're not getting as well paid as a Super League player over in the north of England. But I suppose the reason why I brought it in is obviously seen when the Bundesliga came back. Fritz Keller, I think is his name. Fritz Keller, yeah, the president of the DFB, wanted to introduce a salary cap into German football. And I was wondering, what would your thoughts be on potentially maybe introducing it into association football, into the EPL? Has it pros, cons, benefits? Is it a case that this is football and we've never had a salary cap?
I think it's too late.
I think it's too late.
I think the only way it would work in the UK now after this pandemic and also after Brexit is in the lower leagues, your League 2, your League 1. I'm not sure, the Championship, probably too much money involved, but it'd probably have to go similar to the MLS, and you would need complete takeover from someone like Adidas or Umbro, so every team in the league is wearing the same, kit, and all that sort of stuff, because it probably gets very messy. So every team is guaranteed the same amount of money from, say, Adidas. So say it's 10 million per team, and that's them. I think that's the only way it's going to work.
Yeah. Like, I suppose the reason why I mentioned Major League Baseball is they said this at the time.
Mm-hmm.
They introduced it in 2002, and they went for the soft cap option the NBA has. So basically there is a salary cap, and if you go above it, you're charged $1 and $1. And the reason was, like, the Yankees, the LA Dodgers, your big city markets would always attract the best players. But I did a little digging around, and in the 10 years, 1992 to 2002, you only had 9 champions because it was a strike season in 94. But the Yankees won it 4 times, and Toronto won it twice. So that meant you 3 other winners. In the 10 years that followed the introduction of the salary cap, so 2002, 2012, Boston is the only team to repeat. Or not repeat, but win it twice. So the idea of a salary cap is it does make it a far more even playing field. Like, I do think if a salary cap existed in the Premier League, you'd be looking at Everton over the early part of the season, and you wouldn't feel mental to say, I think they could win it.
Yeah.
Do you know?
Do you not think it might actually affect other leagues more, like, say, even the likes of Spain? I don't know if you've seen during the week, they showed the payroll of Barca, and, like, I think Griezmann's on 800 grand a week, like.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, and seeing as Barca and Madrid kind of have a monopoly over the fucking Spanish league anyway.
Absolutely, and like Munich have this.
It could impact there a little bit more, and Munich and the German league.
Right, actually, what you're saying is right, because it's a little bit different there actually as well, because it's probably more easily done in Spain because of La Liga owning the contracts. I'm right in saying they own the contract every player in La Liga, so it probably would be easier implemented in somewhere like that rather than England. There's so much of a difference in the in the Premier League, in the EPL. I think,
and that's what I'm saying. Like, if you were to introduce it, it has to be a standard salary cap across all of Europe's major leagues. Because if they brought it in France, they brought it in Germany, they brought it in England, but didn't bring it in Spain, well, then those clubs are all open to Arab money takeover, and they can play their players what they want.
But then is that not what's happening in European rugby then?
That's what's happening. Like, that's why I brought up the numbers, and that's why there's so few Southern Hemisphere based players still in the Super Rugby competition, because I mean, if you're say playing for the Auckland Blues, average salary there is €61,565. I convert all these to euros. Whereas if you go to France, it's €192,173,
And so
so that's
yeah,
3 times.
so is that where they kind of counteract it by saying you've got to play in our country to play for the international team?
Yeah, that's why.
Okay.
That's why. Which is crazy.
Do you think that'll change now after this pandemic? Because I know the RFU are in, I don't know if you'd call it money problems, but are we now opening up for the chance of the likes of, I don't know, Conor Murray or Robbie Henshaw, whoever they go and play abroad and still play for Ireland? Do you think that's going to happen now?
Yeah, it's see, the Irish one is an interesting one, because, and the reason why the Irish sides are the best paid in the Pro 14 is because all our contracts are centrally funded, so
yeah.
they're all paid by the RFU, and a lot of countries would like favour the Irish system but just can't get it to pass. Like, there's always a tug of war between the English rugby clubs and the RFU over there, because they're actually owned by the clubs themselves. So it's interesting, but I just, the way I see football going,
It probably it's probably for the best, really, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Like to bring it in, but I think, like Coach just said there, it probably is too late to implement, isn't it?
yeah.
Like, are you telling me that like the footballers that are there now aren't going to fucking just go, all right, it's a salary cap, lads, I best take a massive pay cut? I just don't think it's.
Yeah, there's
gonna
players
happen
that's
like
not going to
that.
suit us, and there's
You know,
players that are
kinda-
just going to go, okay, I'm going to the guitar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
Oh, to the Chinese Super League or hiring, are they?
Yeah,
Yeah, no
I'm go over
problem.
and play for Jim McGuinness.
Yeah, you're nearly diluting the Premier League in particular. You're nearly diluting the product in the sense that, like, you will have lads just go.
I don't know if you dilute. I know what you're saying, but I think you strengthen all the sides, so you actually increase the quality of the competition and the quality of the product. Is how I would see it. So
Yeah,
this crack at Chelsea buying 12 players and putting them all off on loan.
yeah, but not no one, but a lot of people don't want to see. Like, there's certain players that people want to see. Like, do you know that kind of way? Like, there's fans that, like, I know people that go to match, like, that support players,
Like the NBA, I
not
suppose,
clubs.
yeah.
Like, exactly like the NBA. And I'll hold my hands up as I am one of them people who does it in the NBA. Like, no, having said that, it's probably a bad argument because the NBA does have a salary cap.
Yeah.
But I'm not the person that's going to fucking, like, if I was a Cleveland fan when LeBron left, like, there's a point here I'm trying to make now and I can't think what it is. It's like people going to the games, Sage, and that kind of way. It's like, say if you were a Cleveland fan and you used to go to games because you love LeBron, and LeBron left and went to Miami, and then you'd be like, oh, well, fucking, I'm not going to the games
Yeah.
anymore.
Yeah, no, and
You know, that kind of way.
I do get it. I just love in salary caps that you see teams rise and fall and come back again, whereas you don't have this dominance of, like, I know it's not so bad anymore, but when United and Arsenal used to dominate, more so United,
Chelsea when Abramovich came in.
when he came in though, like, but I mean, I'm talking 90s to early 90s, like,
Sure, City now, though.
yeah.
Same.
Boom, 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 boom.
That's an irritating noise. Isn't it?
Yeah, I don't think he's
know.
going to make it back to season 3 anyway. Maybe even it.
Much like the coach, I suppose. Oh God, I do love him
Yeah.
dearly though.
No
It's
comment.
Just
it's
to
playful banter.
just to all the people who are going to be writing in, being like, that fucking fella bullied me awfully. I've never made him drink from a urinal
Yeah,
anyway,
yeah,
so we're all good.
Yeah, well, I suppose it's that time of the week. It's time for Barrack's Rough and Tumble.
It really needs a music, doesn't it? It really needs a boom.
It needs. I think it needs its sole sponsor. I think it needs to be Barrack's Rough and Tumble,
Yeah, look, we're gonna
brought
have-
to you by
We're gonna have some
Gatorade,
some Gatorade.
Home State Insurance.
by proper 12.
Yeah, yeah. We'll find something for next season, I suppose. Maybe we'll see. A busy weekend. I suppose you're gonna have to pop me on the L 10 minutes there. I don't know if I have 10.
I
I
will
always
get you
say I don't
there.
know if I have 10
3,
minutes,
2,
and then
1,
never get
Barry.
past
Off
me.
you go, baby.
But I never get past me first point. Oh, lads, don't know if I have 10 minutes in me and don't get past point number 1.
It'll
And
be the
another
one
thing
episode we don't.
about
It'll
Eddie
be the one
Hart.
episode we don't start the clacks, and then we'll be here at 12:30 going. Okay,
Is that the time?
we get it. Katie's good.
Look, there's 20 seconds gone. So.
Yeah, couple of big fights this weekend. I'm gonna go with MMA first, just because you're a bit biased towards the MMA. I prefer the MMA to the boxing, but look, we'll keep rocking. Quite a sad L weekend. Bit of nostalgia hitting everyone. Anderson Silva retired last night. Well, actually, we don't know if he retired. It was meant to be his last fight, and he basically just came out, lost the fight. He was knocked out. Now he actually looked okay.
Fourth round, is it?
Fourth round, yeah. Now he got dropped in the third round at the very end, and if there had been probably 20 more seconds after the round, he'd have been finished. Dana White did then come out and say he shouldn't have let him fight because how bad he looked. I thought he looked okay, but whatever. So basically, they kind of had it was a bit of an emotional scene in the cage. Like, they were fucking down crying and whatever. So he basically came out of the cage and was being interviewed and said, "Oh yeah, look, this was my last fight. I'd, like, be happy to or just wanted to put on a show or something for all my UFC fans." And then the next question basically said, "Oh well, I have to go home first. Like, I don't know if this is my last fight." Yeah. Which, I suppose I'm going to put a question out to you guys this week. Change it up a little bit. Do you think that people should be told to retire? Or do you think retirement should always be of the person's own
I want to say
volition?
something here. We had this before in season 1, I think. Remember we were on about maybe Chuck Liddell.
Yes,
like, for their own safety, because like Anderson Silva and many of the UFC fighters, they're absolute warriors. Like, they're just a different breed. So
yeah,
he's gonna keep coming back. Like,
Now, I did see McGregor had put something up on Twitter after the fight. I was like, that basically what you kind of just said there, that like he is a warrior, like, and he is good. Like, some people just, that's what they love to do. Like, it's not about the money for Anderson Silva anymore. But what McGregor basically said was, he can continue if found the right opponents. Do you know, that kind of way? So that's kind of where you go into, like, do you do an over 40s league, if you will? You know, that kind of way.
Yeah, like, but just when you asked that, I was thinking, the problem is, if you say to him, or if he finishes and say he finishes his contract with the UFC, the problem I think there, particularly with MMA, is those individuals, particularly the ones that are maybe stuck for a little bit of cash, and I'm not saying Anderson Silva is, but others, is that they'll go and find a lesser brand to fight under, which doesn't have as much security, health wise and things like that, and that's where your issue lies. And I think you will know yourself, one blow to the head and it's a game changer, and at 45, everyone can say he's one of the best ever and all that sort of stuff, but like, his reaction times and speeds are getting slower, peripheral vision's probably going a little, but I don't know. I think there needs to be some sort of way. I don't know, who do you ask though? Who goes, yeah, you're not fighting again? And because if UFC say that,
it's a hard one,
if UFC
isn't
say
it?
then surely Bellator will go, yeah, we'll get him for one fight, or whoever, Cage Warriors, whoever it is.
Yeah. And is it like an cumulative effect? Like, because like, I know Anderson Silva didn't actually start in the UFC since he was 30.
31, yeah, first.
So he said 14 years. Him versus someone else who's gone 14 years. Is it different effects because? So you couldn't necessarily put a timer on it as such, or a series of, like, you can't say, oh, you've a 10 fight limit or something like that, because there's so many different fighting styles. And like, it was brought up by Khabib, like, I don't think the man's bled in the UFC.
Khabib has never been knocked down or cut in an MMA fight in his entire career. Like, I know what you mean in the sense of the styles, like, but But then at the same time, Dana White's sitting there afterwards, and he's like, "I shouldn't have let him fight tonight." Now, I personally, I stayed and watched the fight. Like, I don't think he looked that bad. He won the first 2 rounds, and then was caught late in the 3rd round, which kind of carried over to the 4th, and that's what kind of took him out. Like, but the way I kind of think of it is like, there's people that are 35 that should be retiring. Do you know, that kind of way? So it probably does need to be done, like you said, on a case by case, as opposed to you're 40 now, or you're 35, or you're whatever. Like, it's not like fucking retirement. Like, it's like 65,
pensionable age.
Out you get, lad. But I don't know. It was just kind of. It was like he's one of them that you do nearly kind of wish them to retire. Like, do you know, that kind of like same way BJ Penn was. BJ Penn I think he's still fighting, and like Diego Sanchez and people, like, you're just watching these lads just getting chinned out.
Yeah.
And you're just going, please stop.
Why do they keep fighting?
Just please
what's
stop.
the UFC could definitely reward them by making them the coaches on the shows and stuff like that. Like, why do? Yeah,
the Ultimate
why
Fighter,
do
is
they
it?
keep fighting?
Yeah. But it's like saying, do you keep
okay,
playing
so
golf?
Like,
okay,
they
but
keep
you're-
fighting because they started fighting, if that makes sense.
Well, then you're
the same reasons.
Yeah.
You're an association footballer. Like, generally, 34, 35, you'll see them. Then you just know. Like, is it an education thing? Like, rugby is the same. Rugby, okay, it's a little bit longer because it's probably not as intense. But, like, what is it?
Did you say rugby wasn't as intense?
Oh, sorry, I meant,
go back
I
to
meant
that,
the
we'll go back
football.
to that,
Like,
we'll go back
they're
to
taking bigger hits, but the movement is slower and stuff like. You'll see.
Yeah, but
regularly
rugby
see a rugby player
players-
go to 36.
Oh,
Anyway,
we're
sorry.
getting off the point.
My point being,
Keep going.
Rugby players
Keep
don't
talking.
have as long a career as a football player.
but
Keep talking,
Is it,
keep
is it an
talking.
education piece where the fighters need to be not be told, but they're a little bit uneducated, that they don't think that they still think they're invincible.
Yeah, but I think when you look at it as an average, there's not a tremendous amount of lads who are up there in that 40, 45 bracket who are still going. There's outliers in every sport when you look at it that way. Like, you telling me that, like, say we're looking at NFL, that like they should turn around to Tom Brady and be like, here, you retire right fucking now.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's just silly, like, but it's a
Yeah.
42 and is still one of the best fighters in the division. Like, do you know, that kind of way.
Yeah, you've got
Just
body
depends.
shapes as well. Yeah.
Kind of,
Yeah.
yeah. And steroids. Sorry, Jesus Christ, just crept out of my body there. Yeah, that's basically the UFC. Well, the point I wanted to make on the UFC this weekend. Actually, no, it's not. Bryce Mitchell fought last night as well. The man known as Tug Nasty. He, I'm gonna actually put up some of his best interview moments on the story this week, because the man has 4 fights in the UFC. He's undefeated, but after every single fight, he got on the mic and was like, "Reebok, I want camo shorts." So he has this particular. He's like the proper Arkansas hillbilly, like. But you know that duck, that like.
Duck
You know,
Dynasty.
like the duck. Yeah, exactly. He wanted that camo, and they finally gave him the shorts last night. So it was a big moment for everyone involved. So a lot of moments going on last night's UFC. But that was another one. I'm going to put that up in the story this week. How long do I have left?
A wholesome 90 seconds.
That's
Better
a
go.
shame. Better go. I'm just going to rash this one out. Usyk Chisora was last night as well. I think it was, if I'm not mistaken, Usyk's first fight at heavyweight, or second fight, can't remember. He looked quite good, a little bit undersized for heavyweight. Lost the first kind of 2-3 rounds, but then class shine through, beat Chisora fairly handily on decision. He looks to be the next man for Joshua, which could be a very, very good fight. I just think he needs to put on a little bit more size. Coach, you strike me as a man who likes
Can't
Anthony
stand
Joshua, do you?
Can't stand it.
Really?
I'm a fury, man.
Oh, we'll go into that, because you strike me as an Anthony Joshua.
He's fighting in a couple of weeks. In 2-3 weeks.
Yeah, he is. Yeah.
Please God, he'll get a bad
Yeah.
knock. Go on.
Wow, rough. Yeah, so Usyk looks like he's the dogs. Chisora, tough loss, 37. Probably look at packing it in.
Probably needs that
sometime soon.
rules.
Also, Gervonta, yeah, who knows? Gervonta Davis also won last night. He knocked out Santa Cruz, who you may remember fought Carl Frampton very recently. Not very recently, but I think Carl Frampton's last fight, and beat the brakes off him. He was stopped in the 6th round by Gervonta Davis by murder, by uppercut. Again, send it to the story this week if you want to check it out. Which is shaping up, like as I said last week, that he will fight Teofimo Lopez soon. And I think that's me. Boom! Bam, 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 bam. Gonna have to start writing out shit because I feel I just ramble, but then I have to prepare. I'm not there yet. I'm not there.
Not psychologically invested just yet.
It wouldn't be so rough and tumble then, though, would it?
Yeah.
Just
be a lot of
there you
tumble.
go.
Yeah. I was gonna.
I'd like to go back to a point that was made halfway
Yeah.
through that. I want to stir a
Yeah.
little bit of shit here. Did you say that association football was a little bit tougher than? Was it tougher? Was that the word you used?
Intense.
More intense. Sorry, more intense than rugby.
What I meant
was
what I
that
meant
the
was
point
from a
that
fitness
you
level,
were making?
definitely not from a physical level.
It's different
Sorry,
fitnesses.
Yeah,
I think we can agree. Whether it's
you just
more fit,
like,
I
you
don't
look
think
at Donegal O'Callaghan, top level Munster, and then moves across, plays a little bit of a lesser level in England. It gradually just filters back to 36 years of age, I think maybe. I think the forwards get longer than the backs, don't they? Usually,
No,
but they come on. They
no.
come on a lot later. As
that's what
in,
I'm saying. It's a lot shorter of a career.
yeah, but
think,
you
coach.
don't play at the top level till a lot later. Like,
Absolutely.
you
Yeah.
might make your debut at 23,
Um,
24, or whatever.
It's also a thing with rugby as well, is that they do, because players develop a little bit later, they do tend to push the education boat and tend to have players with degrees by the time they get to the age of playing professional rugby. Like, whereas, like, I mean, if you're good enough, you'd be playing the Premier League at 16. I know there's plenty that have.
Absolutely.
Like, if you look at Rooney and stuff like that. So,
One point just
Seems-
actually on the rough and tumble. Shizora, we mentioned that you think he might
Yes.
have to pack in and he should be thinking about it, but yeah, we're not saying that about Anderson Silva.
I would argue that based off performance, though. I
yeah.
don't think Cesaro looked great. He was in probably the best shape I've seen him in quite a few fights. But
Reaction.
just yeah, like he Cesaro nearly gets away with it because he's so like he's the tough bloke. Do you know that kind of way? Like he'll take 5 to 6 to give one back. Like, do you know that kind of way? And I think what saved Cesaro last night was the fact that Usyk, he had 3 stone on Usyk, which kind of saved you in heavyweight boxing in the sense that I think if he had a boxed AJ last night, he'd have been out there in the 6th, 7th personally, or even Usyk in 2 fights time when he kind of gets when he fills out in heavyweight a little bit more.
Yeah. Like, it's just that point you did bring up, though, about the fighters and should we be making them retire. Like, it does ring true.
Sometimes it's sad to watch, like, because you reminded me there now. When we were discussing it last time, like watching Chuck Liddell get battered by Tio Ortiz was like, it was heavy, like,
But-
do you know that kind of way? And
But like Chuck
You're
got to
kinda-
a point where it was like his brain was just saying, "You've taken too much damage. I'm taking you out of it."
they do say that that's what happens, though. You only have so many, and then there's shots that would never knock. Yeah, like Anderson Silva's another one. He had a tremendous chin, like a couple of years ago. Like if you look back at his fight with what's his name? Oh, he fought Bisping. Can't think of his name. It'll come to me. But he basically just lets him punch him in the face. Like lets him for 3 or 4 punches, and then.
Sorry, I got crashed there.
But that basically, he lets someone punch him in the face a few times in fights before, and then he was knocked out once, and then ever since then, not that he's chinny, but he goes down not easily. That's bad term to say. Getting punched in the head by a professional fireball. Shots that you'd look at from before, and you'd be like, he'd have been fine getting hit with that 5 years ago. That kind of.
Tony Ferguson, for me, is what I was going to say, is a prime example of someone who's going to need to be told to stop fighting.
Tony Ferguson's 36.
I know, but he's like,
You know, that kind of.
he is going to get to a state. Like, I remember watching a documentary on Sonny Liston, and he was like, as big a name as Sonny Liston was in boxing, he was sleeping in the basement of a gym in Philadelphia. He had not a penny to his name, and he was dying of dementia, and it was like the saddest thing I ever watched. And it was, he literally he got punch drunk. He just kept fighting.
Yeah, sure, Ali's Alzheimer's was induced by getting punched in the head, wasn't it?
Yeah, but no doubt it was. But I think it was just Ali kind of. I think he still had security all the same, if that makes sense.
Financial security.
Like Sonny Liston had nothing.
Yeah.
And you've got Mike Tyson fighting again before Christmas as well.
See, Mike Tyson is secured. Do you know that kind of way? Like he has. I don't think he's fighting for money. Like, but it's like I said to you earlier on. It's like these people. Like, you don't have to tell. Like, you wouldn't tell your fucking Elfla who likes going out golfing on a Tuesday. Like, he's always going to go golfing. Do you know what I mean? That's what
He's done.
that kind of is to them. Like, do you know that kind
Like, I
of way?
suppose the difference in, like, say, a footballer that gets old, you just get dropped.
Yeah, you've other people relying on you, whereas in an individual sport like boxing or MMA, it's kind of your own, up to your own devices.
You're the one who has to pick when to stop.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you should probably take on other people's advice. Yeah. It's hard to say though, because I'm sure if you looked at a lot of these people's brains, I'm sure everyone has a little bit of
Bit of CTE.
bit of CTE in a sport like that. But like, I'm sure they're not as bad as you'd think, or maybe they're worse. You don't know. You'll never know. Like, there could be somebody there who is in the prime of their career, like, who with much worse CTA than Anderson Silva, but you'd never say it. Do you know, the kind of way, just because they're not showing it. Hard to say. Who knows?
Fair enough. Dalvin Cook just got it.
There, what's going on?
I haven't made
Maybe.
me fancy. Are we getting Elstad from the weekend that's just been? The only thing I'm going to say to you is not getting into the Irish performance last night, because it still irks me. But any of our rugby league fans, State of Origin is on Wednesday morning, 10 o'clock. It's on the next 3 Wednesdays, so you can watch that when you're planning to work.
Set your alarm, gents. Set your
I'm
alarm.
sure we have a listener
to
who will be up for that one.
Yeah.
Or two.
Well, why doesn't Berwick take us home?
we'll leave it there, will we, gents? Okay, spot on. Thanks for listening, everyone. As always, the Sasquatch has been the glue of this whole operation, just holding us together, calling out the coach. The coach, he's been fine as always.
Very, very awkward.
And I have been Beric Dundarian, the greatest man to ever
Live.
No,
No, I was just going to say,
Okay,
I feel very bad for Coach for the Wi-Fi issues he encountered in part 1, and him on a probation period as well.
Yeah, it's tough. I didn't want to say it on air, but guys, enjoy these last couple of podcasts with the coach, because who knows, it could be his last. Anyway,
And at Christmas I'll have my own podcast.
we've been
idiot.
yeah, insert plug here. We'll have the doctor back next week. Hopefully he's feeling a little bit better. Other than that, please follow us on Instagram. Has the name on Instagram changed? Yeah, it has. Follow us on Instagram, the Busted Barstools. I've been Beric, he's been Sass. That's been the coach. Thank you, good night. Much love.
Take care.